The Buffalo Bills controlled this game early and often, and you got to look at it from Josh Allen's standpoint. This is a team that could never get over that hump, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs, and they controlled this game. I don't want to say that they dominated it because they didn't, but they were always seemed to be in control. Richard, what were your thoughts on this game? Because to me, it looked like Buffalo was the better team early, often, and throughout.
Well, it's just like Josh Allen said earlier in the week. He said, I mean, they've been able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season. They just cannot beat them in the playoffs. So this isn't as surprising, as of a win as anybody is going to say. The Kansas City Chiefs have been playing on borrowed time for a number of weeks. Could have lost last week, could have lost the week before that, and this week it looked like, again, if they get a stop somewhere, then you give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. But instead, Josh Allen breaks a 26-yard touchdown run late in that game to put the dagger to close this game up, to kill the hope of the Kansas City Chiefs. Because even then, if they kick a field goal at the end of that game and Patrick Mahomes gets the ball back, I think everybody in the stands, everybody watching that game thinks he's going to win that game again. So this didn't feel like a dominant win, but the Buffalo Bills did look like the better team in this game. Patrick Mahomes threw an early interception and just never looked right throughout this game. He completed passes to 11 different receivers. Again, sometimes you're trying to figure out which guys are working for you, who's going to be your go-to guy. He ended up getting 4 catches for 61 yards and a big-time touchdown from Xavier Worthy. Kareem Hunt continues to carry the load in the running game. But they've looked like this the entire season. The difference is the 30 points that Buffalo was able to put up on this Kansas City defense, because this Kansas City defense has been elite, one of the best defenses in football throughout this season and previous seasons. Spags has been calling an incredible game. They've been covering well. They've been rushing the passer well. But Josh Allen had his way, 27 of 40, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, and the interception. And he rushed the ball 12 times for 55 yards in that huge touchdown that put the nail in the coffin at the end of the game. I'm sure this is good for this young team's confidence, because a lot of these young players weren't in the same roles that they are in now. Curtis Samuel hasn't been a part of this rivalry. Taylor Rapp had a huge interception in this game, and I don't think he was as huge of a part of this rivalry as he was in this game. And obviously Khalil Shakir was a part of it, but he wasn't the go-to guy that he is now. So I'm interested to see what this does for them going into the playoffs if they have to face the Kansas City Chiefs again. That's the thing. Does this give them confidence going into that week? I know they're feeling really, really good going into this bye week. The Kansas City Chiefs probably feel slightly disappointed. I'm sure Andy Reid feels good because, again, you don't want to have an undefeated season. You want to have coachable moments. You want to be able to tell your team, hey, we got to do better than this. We got to play better than this. We got to correct these things. And this gives him an opportunity to do that, to coach his team, to tell that defense, hey, you're not world beaters yet. We've won 2 back-to-back MVP. I mean, we've won back-to-back Super Bowls, and we've started off 9-0. But you see, this team hit us in the mouth. So we do have things that we can correct, things we can fix, things we can get better at. And I get to go watch this team in a couple of weeks when they play the Raiders in Kansas City on Black Friday. So I'm excited to go out there and see what they do against the Carolina Panthers and what they do against the Raiders when we come to town.
But the Kansas City Chiefs, the last several games, they haven't looked all that impressive. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders by 7 points. They win against the Buccaneers in overtime, and then they go and squeak one off with a blocked field goal against the Denver Broncos. And then you see them go on the road and lose by 2 scores against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they've been skating by all season, and finally they get caught. I mean, are the Kansas City Chiefs that good as their 9-1 record reflects?
Yeah, Mitchell. I mean, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. So you can say what you want about them skating by games. They skated through most of last season, and then when it came to the playoffs, they dominated. And you could say they snuck by those games. They didn't blow the Baltimore Ravens out in the AFC Championship game. They didn't blow the San Francisco 49ers game out in the Super Bowl. They won in OT, walk-off touchdown. But they won, and they got to hold the trophy at the end. So are they the team, or they are as good as their record says? Because they are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Because when you don't have the championship pedigree, people can say, "Oh, we wonder how they're going to be in the playoffs." We know how this team is going to be in the playoffs. There are a lot of guys still on this team, still on this roster with 2 Super Bowl rings on in very prominent positions. So this team will be fine, especially with the best quarterback in football. I don't think you can count this team out or say they're not as good as their record, especially with the way their defense. Chris Jones is still going. Nick Bolton is playing really good football. Justin Reid, friend of the program. We got so many people that are playing really good football as a part of that team that I'm not really ready to say they're not who we thought they were. That'd be silly to say. This is a loss that they probably needed. I'm sure their coaching staff is thankful. I don't think anybody wants an undefeated season going into playoffs because you just feel like your first loss is going to be at the worst possible time.
I don't want to play spoiler here, Richard. I don't.